Bye, William. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is our first video of the new year, Unit 5. I even forgot. I think it's Unit 5. It's on naming and formula writing. I don't know what video number this is, but I'd like you to find the page in your notes that looks like this. It says Section 3, Types of Formulas. So take a minute and find those notes, and let me grab a copy while we're looking at it here. So this is what the page looks like. It's page 64 in your notes. And we do know how to write formulas. We'll review this a little bit tomorrow in class. But there are two major types of formulas, and I'd like you to write these formulas down. They are, number one, an empirical formula, and number two, a molecular formula. So I have little nicknames for these. Let me jot those down. Oops, sorry. It's just easier. I didn't feel like breaking out the smartboard. So empirical formula, I abbreviate EOFO. That's the empirical formula. And what the empirical formula is the reduced formula. All the subscripts are in their lowest terms. So under empirical formula, I'd like you to write the definition. It's the simplest or reduced formula. All the subscripts are in the lowest possible terms. That's your empirical formula. Some examples of empirical formulas, there's many, but like H2O, for example. The subscripts cannot be reduced any more than they already are. Okay, or for example, NaCl. The subscripts for Na is 1, the subscript for Cl is 1. So they're already in the lowest possible terms. So when the subscripts are reduced as much as they possibly can be, that is an empirical formula. The other type of formula is a molecular formula, and I, again, have a little abbreviation for that. If empirical is EOFO, then molecular formula is, of course, sorry, keeping you in suspense. A molecular formula is a MOFO. And a MOFO, or a molecular formula, is when the subscripts are not necessarily in lowest terms. It's the exact recipe to make the compound. The subscripts need not be in lowest terms. Though they can be, they don't have to be. They can be. It's the way you make the compound, okay? For example, water's molecular formula, how do you make water? Water's molecular formula is the same as its empirical. The molecular formula for water is also H2O2, or H2O, excuse me. That's how you make water. I should have just gotten the, I'm not going to do subscripts, but you get the idea. I can't not do it. Okay? So H2O is the molecular formula as well as the empirical formula. It's the exact recipe for how you make water, and the subscripts are already in lowest terms. However, its counterpart, which you may have heard of, hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, if you wanted to make hydrogen peroxide, it'd be H2O2. And I'll fix this here. That is the molecular formula for hydrogen peroxide. Not all the subscripts are in lowest terms there, right? 2 and 2, the 2 of hydrogen and the 2 of oxygen, are divisible by numbers other than 1. So H2O2 is the molecular formula for hydrogen peroxide. If we wanted to write the empirical formula for hydrogen peroxide, it would just be HO, the reduced version. okay? So empirical means simplest, molecular means not necessarily simplest. The subscript, it means exact recipe, where the numbers can be divisible by something other than 1, okay? If you look at the examples right here on the next page, what I'd like you to do is identify, or at the bottom of that page, identify these formulas as either molecular or empirical. It's easiest to identify the empirical, and I'll walk you through this. Number 1 is N2O4. Are these subscripts divisible by some number other than 1? Yes, of course. They're both divisible by 2. So this formula would be considered a molecular formula because it is not in simplest terms. This must be a molecular formula. Okay? NO2, are those subscripts in lowest terms? Yes, because the subscript for nitrogen is a 1. So number 2 is an empirical formula. The subscripts are reduced as much as possible. Look at number 3, CaCl2. Remember, if there's no number there, it's a 1. That is an empirical formula because the subscripts are in lowest terms. CH4, that is an, do you have a guess? Empirical formula for methane. And how about C6H12O6? Are these subscripts in lowest terms? No, they're not. They're all divisible by 6, right? That's a molecular formula, okay? Because the subscripts are not necessarily in lowest terms. So what I would like for you to do, next to the ones that have empirical or molecular formula with them, I'm having a hard time. So for the formulas that are molecular above, reduce them to give the empirical formula. So for number 1 and for number 5, reduce those so that you can give me the empirical formula for C6H12O6 and for N2O4. Okay? So please go ahead and reduce those, and that's all that you have to do for tonight. We'll see you in class maybe tomorrow, hopefully on Wednesday. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.